Welcome everybody to our meeting for CineGear Media Pros on this Wednesday, September 29th. Thank you all for being with us. We have a great program for you lined up tonight, talking to a local marketing professional and getting her perspectives on working with video with her clients and what that means for us as video professionals. But before she joins us and before we get into the real meat of the meeting, we've got the appetizer of news you can use with Mark Mazonev. So take it away, Mark, please.
Here we go. Okay, now, so who can share only? Okay, got it. All righty. So here we go. We begin our news with a glimpse behind the scenes of one of the most crucial battles taking place today. So keep your eye on this.
Staring contest?
Yep.
That's what I thought.
Blink, Evan, blink.
I will never blink.
And no, he will never blink. And that staring contest, though, is brought to you by AATI and AMPTP, who are at loggerheads on this next contract. So as not to be political, I'll leave it up to you to decide who was the shark in that confrontation. You can make that choice yourself. But as we move forward, we understand that IATSE is calling for a strike authorization vote. The AMPTP is balked at their latest contract offer. What's going on? Well, this Friday, it looks like, is when the vote is going to happen to decide what to do with this contract negotiations. The union is seeking to address the long hours and the contract provisions and the more breaks and longer turnaround times on production days. IATSE is also seeking to bring the new media production, i.e. the streaming production, more in line with traditional studio productions, which it currently is not. And in response, AMPTP said that by pursuing this authorization, the union has walked away from a generous compensation package and substantial improvements in several areas. Now, I joke more about this, but it affects too many people who do what we do and know that this will trickle down to the little fish here in our pond at some point. So it's important that we do pay attention to what's happening up at IATSE. You may have heard this fellow, Will Rogers, had said you never get a second chance to make a first impression, but is he right? Well, Nielsen announced this Impressions First initiative. And if you're not familiar with who Nielsen are, they're a ratings group. They announced this move to an impression-based buying and selling in local markets across the country. Getting people who are coming in, okay, let's go here. As a key step in that direction, it integrates broadband-only homes, the BBO homes, and the local measurements starting in January of 22. An impression is a metric that's used to quantify the number of digital views, engagements in a piece of advertisement called the ad view. The exact way impressions are counted is very technical, but there's a little 1 pixel that's found on the publisher page. And when the page pops up, that pixel's counted and boom, that's how an impression gets made. Catherine Fuller, the vice president at Graham Media, like a Nielsen, explains kind of what's going on here. She said that a rating is an estimated percentage of the universe of TV households, but it's tuned to a program, and impressions are that rating expressed in thousands of estimated viewers. They recognize all TV audiences, resulting in inclusion of a greater variety of programs. Extending reach and greater targeting for advertisers. So this is a big move as you get into the ads and watching television. This is how they're going to be counted now. And so, counter to Will Rogers, you do get a second chance to make a first impression. Obviously, you probably get a lot of chances to make a first impression. Speaking of impressions, we had the privilege of going to CineGear this year. Yep. Typically a great alternative to NAB and kind of the only one. Unfortunately, it looked like Fisher Price was kind of the sponsor, as it was very small, kind of like my first expo. You could see it all in about 20 minutes. All the outside booths, not a lot of folks there, not a lot of vendors there, all very, very small booths. But here's a quick little wrap up, some of the things we did like there. One of the most impressive displays, and really the biggest, was this one from ROE. They make virtual wall technology. It's really, really cool to see up close. And we spoke with Frank Montero, the managing director, and he gave some insights into why you'd want to use this as opposed to, say, a green screen. Some really interesting ideas. Then again, beginning at $300,000, my 8x8 green screen looks really, really good still. Also on display, there was a hands-free POV blogging solution for on-the-go influencer who needs their hands for far more important things. And I gave that a try here. This is me wearing that, but while I gave it a whirl, I was reminded that I look goofy enough without wearing apparatus, so I removed it. But our excursion up there did result in a big win for San Diego. DayPlay is a brand new app that helps you find work or a replacement to replace you if you've got another job. We spoke with one of the founders, Jeff Humphreys, and he admitted that, hey, San Diego was not on the list of cities that were in this new app. So I cajoled him, beat him a little bit. He's got a nod on his head, but 15 minutes later, San Diego became a new player in the DayPlay market. So you're welcome, first of all. But secondly, go ahead and download this app. It's kind of neat. It's free for now. And it's an interesting app to find work. These are two boom operator guys who are doing this. So it's kind of an interesting idea. And now to prove more of our presence that was really critical, we made an appearance, this little pod of us there on Valentina V's Aperture booth walkthrough. And she's a big deal, and apparently we are too. I want you to kind of take a look at this.
The larger that reflector, then the smaller the degree. So this is right here, I believe, the
There's our first instance. That's Craig
30
Bentley
degree. And then
making his
if
way
you
into the
see
booth,
over
followed by
here,
Patrick
Casey,
Espinosa.
this big boy over there that looks like
Now, we were too impressive for the camera, so we had to pan away,
80s, 90s,
but we managed to talk him into coming back.
That is the
And she'll
15-degree
do that
reflector.
in just a moment. The camera
And
will.
what's cool about all three of these reflectors
Patrick is
that
back
they
there
come
along
in
with
their own
Craig,
little case, kind
and
of
Eric Addison
Matryoshka
comes in, and then
dolls
I make
put
the
together,
important
one inside the other,
observation
so
by
they're very
pointing.
compact, but that's
Look
how
at this
you
black
would
thing.
achieve that
So
spotting and flooding.
people hadn't noticed it
Now,
yet.
as far
I wanted to
as-
point that out. It's important.
Okay, now I
that you
have
see
this
that
really
there.
big,
Craig makes
powerful
another
source.
appearance because for whatever
How
reason,
do I-
Craig was
now I know how to
enamored
make it
with
hard,
the
right?
with
How to
the
achieve that hard light
softbox.
with it.
So he
How do I
just
achieve
kept
soft
sneaking
light?
around there
Well,
on that.
of course, you can put on
And,
one of these
he just
light
won't get out of the
domes.
way.
So there are
There he is.
essentially 3 different sizes of light domes. There were 2, and we've just introduced a 3rd.
So, maybe we weren't directly involved, but if you watch the whole thing, you're going to swear Craig was a photo bomber. It was pure art. Speaking of art, yes, it's cool to see it in real life, but if I was online, I could leave a comment. So that's our younger generation, but in a way, it's pretty cool. And at this new museum, I'll bet you could read some comments and leave some comments right while you're there. So the Academy Motion Picture Museum opens on September 30th, just about a week away, or actually a couple days away, tomorrow. That's right, it's tomorrow it opens. So in a glitzy and star-studded event held September 22nd, Hollywood celebrated the pending ribbon cutting of LA's newest museum. When it opens, the Academy Museum of Motion Pictures will be the largest institution in the United States devoted to the arts, sciences, and artists of movie making. It's designed by Pritzker Prize-winning architect Renzo Piano. The Academy Museum's 7 floors feature exhibition spaces, education and special event spaces, a conservation studio, cafe, and a museum store. And it's anchored by the 1,000-seat David Geffen Theater. Now, here's a little preview of what it looks like on the inside.
For nearly a century, it has been a dream. On September 30th, it becomes a reality. The Academy Museum of Motion Pictures will open, creating a home to celebrate and explore the diverse and complex tales behind the movies we love for the first time. The massive 300,000 square foot campus features 2 breathtaking designs that forever changed the landscape of Los Angeles. One is a stunning restoration of a building from Hollywood's classical era. The other, an awe-inspiring glass sphere housing a state-of-the-art 1,000-seat theater. And featuring a 5th-floor terrace that delivers show-stopping views of the city. Dynamic galleries and multi-screen exhibitions will immerse you in movie magic like never before. From directors and their inspirations to special effects artists and their creations, every dimension of the filmmaking process will be explored in new and engaging ways. And in the interactive Oscars experience, visitors can replicate the thrill of accepting an Oscar.
You'll have to ask Eric Addison about
nearly
that
a-
ability for getting an Oscar. He's not a big fan of that. He has a story to tell when that does happen. When you have a chance to pull him aside. What did happen, though, in getting awards, just this past weekend, I believe, the 48-hour film project had some awards, and we, as media pros, would like to congratulate Canary Storm and Amalgamated Grommets for placing 3rd and 2nd in the competition for the best film. So it includes, both teams include a number of media pro members. So if making good films is on your to-do list, hunt down one of those winners, take them out for lunch, pick their brain. After all, they're just as broke as you are and probably use a good meal. So be sure that you go and do that. And finally, I want to wrap up with this that came across my Facebook page. I want to share it with you. It's really what I think is a brilliant example of what happens when corporativity meets creativity to deliver a message for everyone. It's a bit long and may hit a nerve or two, but it's worth the watch. So watch all the way to the end.
I would describe my political views as the new right.
I say that I'm left.
Feminism today is man-hating.
I would describe myself as a feminist, 100%.
I don't believe that climate change exists.
We're not taking enough action on climate change.
I think it's about time these people got off their high horse and started looking for credible problems that actually exist.
It's absolutely critical that trans people have their own voice.
That's not right. You can't, you're a man, be a man, or you're a female, be a female.
Women do need to remember that we need you to have our children.
Could I be friends with someone that says a woman's place is in the home?
Right, okay, well, I'm an expert at flat packs. If you have any trouble, just watch me.
So it looks like I've got your instructions here.
I think so.
Let me help you.
It's not just that bit there.
Describe what it is like to be you in 5 adjectives.
Okay, frustrating.
Dedicated.
Opinionated.
Lucky.
Ambitious.
Offensive.
Solemn. I have ups and downs.
Strong.
I want to say attacked. Misunderstood.
Name 3 things you and I have in common.
We're both male, we're both confident, and we're both loudly spoken.
We know each other better than people who've known each other for 10 minutes should.
You seem quite ambitious and positive, and you've got this really, got a glow. Do you know what I'm saying? Your aura's pretty cool.
I'm sensing, are you former military or something?
People have said that, but there is no history. So are you then ex-military?
Yeah.
If you're ex-military, I'm very proud of you already.
Well,
So
I grew up in a bit of a rough state. I've experienced homelessness. I've known what it's like to have absolutely nothing.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm definitely most grateful just for life.
We've only just met, but I think you're the sort of person that would listen to me and we'd have a discussion rather than argue.
yeah, you could hang out with, man. Let's go. My chance.
Goodness sake.
You're right, mate.
Fitter than I look.
Perfecto.
Oh, yeah.
There you go.
So basically, I think we just built a bar.
Yeah.
Okay.
Here, each take a bottle and place it on its corresponding markings on the bar.
Attention, please now stand to watch a short film.
Feminism today is definitely an excuse for misandry, man-hating.
If somebody said to me that climate change is destroying the world, then I'd say that is total piffle.
So transgender, it is very odd. We're not set up to understand or see things like that.
I am a daughter, a wife. I am transgender.
I feel like the battle for feminism definitely isn't done. The fight is never going to be over, if I'm honest with you.
You now have a choice. You may go, or you can stay and discuss your differences over a beer.
I'm only joking.
You had me for a second then.
Well, I'm having a drink.
I'm having a drink.
Yeah.
I want to discuss.
Beer.
Yeah, beer and discuss.
Cheers.
At the end of the day, mate,
About
I've
reaching
enjoyed
out to
working with
people,
you.
yeah. And, you know, even if you wanted to convince people about your point, the productive thing to do would be to sit down and have a
Just
beer.
engage.
I've been brought up in a way where everything's black and white, but life isn't black and white.
Yeah, I'm just me.
Yeah.
Smash the patriarchy.
I'll give you my mobile number, you give me yours, and we'll keep in touch. I'd have to tell my girlfriend that I'll be texting another girl. She might be a bit upset with that, but I'll have to get round there.
I'll have to tell my girl.
She'll have to lump it.
So that's what I thought was awesome. It really touches on what we as an industry can do when we have permission to stretch the boundaries. So that's the news you can use for September 29, 2021. Robin, take it away.
Thank you so much. Mark, always great food for thought. And thank you so much for representing San Diego and the region so well up there in CineGear, both in terms of your photobombing skills, but also advocating for making sure the day players down here in San Diego are also represented up there in digitally in these emerging new markets and spaces. Before we get to our speaker, Reb Risty, who has joined us here, a couple of quick announcements here for the group. If you don't know me already, I'm Robin Martin. I'm the Vice President here of Media Pros. We have a volunteer board of directors that helps put together all of the content, all of the resources that we try to share with you guys. So I want to take a moment to acknowledge the rest of the board members. You've kind of heard and seen from a couple of them. Michael Wood, who is running our Zoom and streaming operations this evening. Dan Cheatham, who has come on board recently to help us with marketing and social media. Mark Mazanev, as you have just recently seen, does a great job collecting the news for us and sharing all of that. We have Kevin Marty here as well, who helps us out with membership. Bob Unger, who is our CFO, helps us keep the books in good order. And I believe that's all we have. Our president, Jane Hare, couldn't be with us tonight. She is off representing one of her short film works up at Holly Shorts in LA. So she had a great opportunity to run up there and do that. And Jeff Trover, our secretary and webmaster, is not here tonight either. We do have a couple of openings on our board. This is a volunteer effort. If you have been coming to meetings for a while or curious about opportunities to volunteer and help out, please just reach out to any of us board members that you're familiar with or contact myself. We would love to talk to you a little bit about the kind of efforts that we have in place, what we are trying to do in terms of programming and expanding our reach with members and all of that kind of stuff. So we are looking for members. Now would be a great time to join up. So speak up if you are interested. In terms of programming for the rest of the year, we can share a little bit of a sneak peek at what we are working on. For October, we are going to be focusing on production horror stories. So we are going to turn to some of our local video producers and freelancers and have them share some great lessons that they have learned over the years, unfortunately, through less than ideal projects, less than ideal clients. Should be very entertaining, should be educational as well. We are hoping, if all the stars align and we find a great location, that this could be an in-person meeting, so stay tuned for that. We will try to make that fun and interactive, even if we do have to stay in a Zoom virtual format, but stay tuned for that one. And then in November, we are working on plans for our annual showcase. What we may do this year that's a little bit different from past years, where we would try to rent a movie theater and have people show work. We may do something more like case studies this year and have a handful of directors and producers that have had works that have come out in the last year and a half or so, and give us a little bit of a deep dive, a little bit of a behind the scenes on what that project entailed, what it took to get that to a big screen, what it took to get that to a film festival or broadcast on local media, things like that. So stay tuned for that in November, more to come. And then December, We were able to do an in-person social this summer like we typically do, and the plan is to do some sort of an in-person holiday gathering, very casual, very much just in celebration of the holidays and getting through another very interesting year in the world and in media production. And so that is what we have coming up on the docket here for the rest of this year. All right, without further ado, what I would love to do is introduce our speaker for this evening, Reb Risty. Reb is somebody that actually got connected with us through SDAMA. We reached out to our partners at the local marketing groups to see if they had a speaker that could help us get some additional perspective to see things from the marketing side of the equation. So many of us are sort of wrapped up in the day-to-day of scheduling shoots, doing pre-production, logistics, filming, editing, that it's a great opportunity to just take a step back and see what is going on out in the world of marketing and social media to make sure that we are positioning our services the right way, that we are reaching out to clients the right way, that we have videos and have content that matches what they need to be doing, what they are looking at doing to help drive their business and get their businesses out there. So Reb is the founder and head REBL at REBL Marketing. And that's a firm that helps B2B businesses build and manage integrated marketing programs through strategy, branding, and messaging, including strong digital presences and video content. Reb has more self-intro that she has in her slides, so I'm not going to go further than that. But we are very, very thankful for her time in joining us tonight. She has a great program for you with some slides and presentation content. And then in the second half, we are going to kind of make it a bit more interactive, a bit more interview format, and give you all a chance to ask some Q&A. So without further ado, Reb, I will hand it over to you.
Thanks, Robin. Hi, everyone. I'm so glad I caught the last few minutes of your presentation, Mark. That was really interesting. I love that last video. It's so much about perspective, isn't it? And I truly love to believe that people are willing to be open and willing to see and listen to other people. So that was really great. I love it. Love it. Well, thank you everyone for having me. I'm excited. As Robin mentioned, I am a marketer. I have a marketing agency here, REBL Marketing. So my presentation is going to kind of come from the perspective of how can I help you guys market your services and what you're doing. And I'm going to share a little bit about what we do and what our clients are looking for when we go out and talk to them about video marketing and video production and why they should be using it. The good thing I can tell you is the conversation has changed a lot over the last couple of years. Good or bad, out of COVID, people got a lot more comfortable on camera, which is great, you know, so some of that fear has gone away. But definitely when we dig into my presentation is just how do you talk to clients, especially in professional services or B2B, to convince them that what you do is not just something nice, but it is a necessity and something they really need to put into their integrated marketing program. So I'll go ahead and get started. Well, you know, really quick, Robin gave you a little bit of my background. I've been in marketing pretty much my whole career. And I thought I was gonna, you know, kind of talk about what I do and where I came from, but I thought, why not show you my why video that tells you a little bit about me instead of you having to listen to me boring on camera and Zoom. So I'm gonna show you my video.
I've always had a good sense of just like how things look together and yeah, colors and layouts. And I just love like the high fashion magazines and just I could flip through for hours. And I just love the models and the way they looked and the sceneries they were in. And I just imagined, you know, the stories that they were telling and, you know, in far off places for the brands that they were representing. And so I just love the way that it all looked and laid out. And little did I know, it's kind of how I would always approach marketing. I love ads. So even if it's digital, you still look at the way it lays out and the message. And my mom grew up in Seoul in Korea, and my dad grew up in the Midwest, American German. And they met in Korea when he was stationed there in the military. He was in the Army. So they dated actually secretly for a year. She was already in an arranged engagement. And then he got orders to go back to the US and she left with them. She's a very strong personality, actually, for a Korean woman. Not your typical Korean lady. She's very opinionated, and she lets you know it. But that's where I get, I think, my tenacity and fire. My dad was in the military. My grandfather was in World War II. All my uncles and aunts on my dad's side were in the military. And Spencer was in the Navy. He was a nuclear engineer. So the military is really important to me. And we love being in San Diego because it's a huge military town. And that's, you feel a connection. Throughout my entrepreneurial career, my husband and I had a small franchise pita shop that we had partners with. I had a small Polynesian entertainment business with 4 of my very good friends. We all professionally danced Polynesian with another group for a long time, and then we broke off and started our own group. I worked in the corporate world for several years. And even though I enjoyed it, there was always someone else making the decisions. And so now I get to be responsible for not just my business, but my client's business, my team, keeping them on track. And as a marketing agency, we get to work with lots of different clients in different industries, and that's a challenge, but it is also fun because we get to help them figure out solutions that they couldn't figure out with anybody else. So when a client works with REBL, they get knowledge and experience in marketing at all levels. We have CMOs, we get strategy, social media specialists, graphic artists. That's our #1 appeal when you get to meet with me and my marketing director or our videographer or our media coach. If we just come with a different style and approach, and it really is about working with a dedicated team that loves what they do and helps that client be successful in their business.
Right, so that's a little bit about me and what we do. And I decided a couple of years ago that video was definitely the direction that marketing was going in, and I needed to learn about it and figure it out for my clients. So here I am today, working on my business and growing it with video content, which has been great. All right. So what I'm going to talk about, and I know that you guys probably know a lot about this. My understanding is you've got quite a few seasoned professionals in here, but this is what we do when we talk to clients about why they need to do video, why they have to make it part of their marketing mix. So we usually start with numbers. I mean, that's how business people think, that's how companies think. They want to understand from more of kind of a factual basis of like, what's their ROI, why should they be doing this? And some of these slides are very common. We'll throw them into a proposal deck or a presentation deck with our clients. And I highly recommend, if you don't do this, that it is something that you could throw into a proposal. It just gives you a little extra boost in you're not just selling a video package, but it's really part of their marketing program, and that's something valuable that they really should be doing. Hubspot, if you're not familiar with Hubspot, it's an inbound marketing tool, lead gen tool, and we've been using them for years. And one of the things that they do every year is do surveys of the marketers. So a lot of marketers subscribe to their product and to their services. And I always thought this was interesting. And these, conversion rates have changed a little bit over the years, but they do hold pretty steady. And one of the things when we tell clients, if they're trying to build landing pages and generate leads through their website, that putting a video on their landing page can increase their conversion rates by 80% or up to 80%, which is a huge number. And when a client hears that, they're like, I've got to do that. That's something we need to do. Email subject lines, and if you put video, and we've tested this and it does work, increases your open rates up to by 19%. And 90% of customers also say videos help them make buying decisions. So again, from a perspective of a business or a decision maker, is what is it that they're interested in? And these are the types of things that they need to know to make them understand how valuable video content can be for them. And of course, there's lots of different types of content, but it's really kind of setting that idea in their head to say, hey, it's not a must have, it's not a like to have, it really is a must have. Some other stats that we use, 94% of marketers say video has helped increase help their clients' understanding of their products and services increase. 84% of marketers say video helped them increase traffic to their site. 81% of marketers say videos help them generate leads. 80% of marketers say video has increased dwell time on their website. And so this percentage is based on, I don't know if you can read it on your screens, but they surveyed just over 3,000 professional marketers through their network for this survey. And then 41% of marketers say video has helped them reduce support calls, which is interesting because, as we know, a lot of companies are moving away from letting you get to a human being. So they have, kind of their self-serve support services. And I see a lot more companies doing a lot better job of using video to explain, where to go into your settings to fix something on your PowerPoint, or how to create a better, spreadsheet or things like that. So all of that just, again, is reinforcing to the client who's business minded, not necessarily creatively minded, why video is important. If you're not familiar with Google Survey, it's a really cool online survey system that they do. And so again, kind of reinforcing what the HubSpot survey said, over 90% of people say they discover new brands or products on YouTube. So YouTube is also part of what we talk about when we do pitch video marketing services. As you guys know, YouTube is a search engine. It's the second largest search engine in the world. It's owned by Google. So being able to put content on YouTube is also an important part of what we pitch in a company's marketing mix. So not only do you have to do video and create really great content, but then we also have to integrate that into a YouTube channel. And that integrates if they're doing a search engine optimization program. So a lot of it, again, is integrating, but the core for us is the video content and using that to drive a lot of the strategy in the marketing program. More than half of shoppers say online videos help them decide which specific brand or product to buy. 40% of shoppers say they purchased products they've discovered on YouTube. And we're all consumers, so we know these things are true, right? How many times you happen upon in your Facebook feed, or you were in YouTube looking at something else and, a promotional video popped up. So we all know you see a video, it works. We've all been succumbed to it. So, and personally, I'm a visual learner, so I go to YouTube a lot to learn. And it's very helpful for me. I don't necessarily do well reading directions, but I can certainly watch somebody do something and then repeat that action. So I think it's very useful also in educational purposes. 80% of people say they typically switch between online search and video when researching products. And people who search for a product on Google, they learn more by going to YouTube. So again, as a marketing agency and a marketer, these things are important to making that decision to use video in our marketing programs. And then this one survey, it was a Wise Owl survey, and I thought it was interesting because a couple of years ago, our agency was heavily into writing content, writing blogs, writing brochures and doing a lot of that. And we're so happy to move out of that because writing gets complicated. It's hard to get the client to write. So now our solution, we don't write anymore. We will not do it, but we will take a video, we film our clients, which you find is actually easier to capture them on camera sometimes, let's just say sometimes. And then what we'll do is actually transcribe their videos, turn them into written blogs. We optimize them for keywords, and now they've got written content as well as video content. So they're really getting a double by doing the video. We're still able to write content for their blog or website. But for us, the video itself is just easier to produce. It's a lot more fun, and we know it's more engaging. And then you can just kind of see from these numbers. Articles are still important. You need that for search engine optimization, SEO, but you can see people aren't downloading ebooks anymore. I mean, when's the last time you downloaded an ebook? You don't anymore. You go watch a video. So I think it's interesting to see how the shift has happened. And to me, it's happened just over the last few years. Like I said, we were heavily writing articles a couple of years ago. Now we won't touch them. And then social, if you have a client that's on social and then is trying to leverage social to grow their business, they absolutely need to be working with you and absolutely be creating videos for social. And if you have done this, you know it's different than creating a long format video or educational videos. And so it does take its own kind of style and strategy, but clients who are on social or they want to be on social, video is a great way to integrate social into their marketing program again. 48% from the Wise Out survey said 48% said they'd be most likely to share content if it's video, and video came out ahead of social media posts. I mean, there's tons of statistics on how video performs on social over static. And we do a mix, but video, if it's well done, it follows kind of some of the guidelines for social. It always outperforms other posts. So that's our kind of the stats, kind of some general stats that we'll usually go in and talk to clients about, especially if we have a client that's very questioning of like, they have never done video, they don't know why they need to do it. So these help us in just showing in just a general statistical way to say, it's not just us saying it, but these are the facts. So here's an example, and I highly recommend, if you're not already doing this, creating case studies. So this is a case study of an event marketing campaign that we did. It's something that clients like to see. It helps them see that not only are you filming a video and then you just hand it off, but helping them see the results. So if you are involved with a client for long term and you're helping them really grow their business, then if you have case studies, show potential clients what you've done before, it's really helpful. So this was an event that we put on. It was a video marketing media camera webinar or workshop that we did way before COVID. And we did it very low budget, and we ran email campaigns and did social media. And that was kind of the extent of it. So when we did our email campaigns, no video, we just had static image copy in the content. We had a 30% open rate, but a 5% click-through rate onto the registration page. When we added the video, our open rate went up slightly, but it was the click-through rate. It doubled and through to the registration page. And these are smaller numbers. It was a small campaign, but again, I'm able to show this and say, no, we know it works. It worked for us, and we can make it work for you. And then here was some of the social posts. So we did some of the pre-production. This is actually my condo downtown. We did all of the video work, and it does help when you have an Emmy award-winning sports anchor as your partner putting on the workshop. So we got some lift from that. The fun thing was that people are like, what are you guys doing? Because they just saw the video came out, and they were like, it just created buzz even because it was different and exciting. So we had a lot of fun with this.
If you're a business owner, an executive, or a professional, and you're looking for a way to put more ROI into your marketing program, then you have to start integrating video. Hi, I'm Rev Risty, Head REBL at REBL Marketing. We're a B2B marketing firm that helps our clients leverage video to create engaging and fun content, but also content that helps their businesses grow.
And I'm Katie Temple. I'm an executive media coach, and I work with business leaders who want to nail their on-camera messaging and delivery, catapulting their confidence, their presence, and their brand.
And together, we're going to help you create video content that'll take you to the next level.
How are we going to do that? We've got you covered. We are going to have a workshop, and we want you to be there.
Research has shown putting a video on a landing page can increase conversion rates by 80%.
80% is a huge number, and you think about with a stat that high, why isn't everybody creating video? There's various reasons, but the main one that we hear
from our clients is fear, just fear of the camera.
Fear, so you know you need to be doing video, but you don't know where to start because the thought of hearing yourself or seeing yourself on camera makes you sick. We are going to help you with that problem at this workshop.
So at the workshop, you're going to learn how to integrate video into your marketing plan and where to use it, how to leverage it, and what types of videos to create. So whether it's educational, promotional, or testimonials.
You will walk away being more confident and comfortable with your on-camera message, your presence, and your delivery. This process works. We'd love to have you.
It's a half-day hands-on workshop. We'll see you there.
Yeah, that was really fun. It was the first time I ever did a promotional video for something like in a workshop, and we just got really great feedback on that. So it was really fun. Again, some more stats. You know, we really had a good pickup, and we had some really good engagement on LinkedIn. You know, when we didn't have a video, about 40 reactions, 32 likes, 5 comments. I mean, look at the difference. Once the video was posted, our comments went way up, the reactions, the shares. So we just saw for ourselves on such a small campaign where we really spent, I mean, the most we spent was on the video itself, really good results. And I love sharing this because not only did I live it and we did it and we made it work, but clients like to see evidence that video works and video marketing can be integrated and help them. Why are businesses not using video? Well, I think the video I just showed you, a lot of it's just fear, you know, being on the camera. They are scared of the idea of doing it. And sometimes they can't get over that, and that is that, right? Lack of time is obviously a big one, especially when you're working with B2B, well, really any company. It's hard to get executives to spend time to get on video. So you do have to find a way and a process that works for them. They don't know where to start. They're unclear of the ROI. That's going back to why you need to show them the stats. You need to show them your case studies. You need to show them how it really works. And then they thought it was too expensive. We do get up that a lot, especially now that people have such amazing phone cameras. It's something we kind of battle with, but we know it's still way better to bring in a professional filming crew than using your camera. And although we do it sometimes ourselves, it's something I'm sure you guys also battle with when you're talking with clients. So the last one, 5% is unable to convince key decision makers. That's where, again, the stats and the case studies help. Let's say you're talking to a marketing director and they really want to do a video or they really want to do a series with you, but they can't get buy-in from the decision makers. Those stats, those case studies is how they'll do that, so they can actually hire you and do their videos.
Yeah, this might be a great spot for us to kind of stop and chat for a little bit before we get into these ideas, because I think this slide here is where a lot of us in this meeting feel like where we start to bump up against, you know, those objections and how do we kind of pitch and sell ourselves, because like you just shared, you know, these super compelling stats. Like, why would any marketer out there not want to improve their results by, you know, 80, 90%, or even, you know, 40, 50%. That's like the ROI seems to be pretty clear from a lot of these stats that are out there. It's helpful for folks in our situation to have those as well. But what do you see as being some effective strategies when you're working with clients at like tackling some of these particular objections? Like, okay, a client says, well, I just don't have time. It's like, what do you mean you don't have time to increase your business? That's your job. Like, how do you start to have that conversation, right?
Yeah, so what we do is we have a little bit of a turnkey program, and it's funny, we just had our Q4 planning meeting today and we're shifting, but during all of last year and this year, because people are at home and people started getting comfortable on camera, we said, okay, you can get on your Zoom or your phone camera and film yourself. We're going to coach you. We're going to help write the script. We're going to help you pick the topics, but you can do it at your own leisure. Spend an hour, but film 2 or 3 topics at one time and punch it out. And then we've got enough to share on your social, your email, your website for the rest of the month. And that's kind of been the key with really busy executives, is when you do get to sit them down, and when we do bring in a film crew, we do a half day. If we have to do a full day, it's usually because we're filming lots of B-roll and team members and things like that. But if we can get an executive down for a couple hours to 4 hours, we film everything we need for the month. So we're not going and bother them the rest of the month. We package it all up, And then we're off and running, you know, distributing that through their social, email, and newsletters, and wherever else they need it. So we find that works. They're willing to at least sit down for a couple hours to a half day. You can catch them once a month. But if you try to do it more than that, that's where you lose them. And then some executives, while, you know, during COVID and everything, they were more than happy to film at home because they could do their own takes. They could do it on their own time. They felt more comfortable. But that's been the key, is definitely packaging it all, a number of videos all at once. So you're not bothering them through the rest of the
Yeah. No, that's a great tip. I'm curious about this one here, where the next one, the 21% that say they just don't know where to start. Like, what's your sort of a hook for those folks? Is there sort of like, what's the biggest like bang for your buck, like easy place to like start for those types of clients?
Yeah. So, the next slide I have examples. We call them foundational videos, and you start with your why or what you do. Everybody knows what they do, right? And that's easy. So how do you articulate that and put that on video? Some people call it a pitch video, whatever, but we try to make it a little bit softer. We don't like to make them too salesy. So most clients are like, yeah, I can talk about what I do. I think, yes, we need that video for our website. We want to do that. Another good foundational video is testimonials. You know, testimonials, as we all know, are really great. Third-party endorsements, having your clients talk about what you do and endorsing you are very powerful. Highlighting your team, you know, especially if you've got some really amazing engineers or scientists or even just marketers, videographers, people that have high skills. So we call those foundational videos, and most clients can wrap their heads around that.
That's great. Cool. I don't want to take away from those too much. I have one question in the chat that I did want to throw out that I think is a good time to tackle, because a couple of these sort of objections here are around like ROI or staffing or investment and things like that. So we have a question from Rob here asking, are you seeing more companies bringing in-house video staff or versus like going out to contractors and vendors for one-offs or projects? What do you see sort of the industry going, or does it depend on sort of like the size of the company? Like, what do you see people doing in terms of in-house versus contractors and freelancers?
Definitely contractors and freelancers. It's pretty rare I see somebody who is an in-house videographer, unless they're doing a ton of like product video, you know, where they're just pushing out a ton of content. Even, you know, we have a videographer that we work with in town. I mean, he's doing shoots for Honda and Sony. So even large organizations like that still outsource their video production.
Great. No, thank you. Yeah, with that, let's take a look at some of those examples that you were just talking about and see.
Cool. Thanks. Yeah, highlighting your team, telling your story, testimonials, and promotional or kind of what you do. Like I said, we call these foundational, and it seems that clients, because they already do these things, already talk about it, it's not hard for them. You know what, this is the one that we did recently that I just thought turned out really nice, and they're such a great organization.
And I'm a marketing associate at REBL Marketing. I'm currently finishing my last semester at San Diego State University, and I'll be finishing my degree with a double major in business administration, marketing, and communications. In my free time, I love to read and write, and this really helps me with my position at REBL because I create and design the newsletters for our clients. These newsletters include everything from original featured articles to community events around San Diego and also company news. I also conduct our employee spotlight interviews and write up the articles for our clients, and we share those on their websites and social media accounts as well.
Yeah, Marcella, she's such a sweetheart. We used to say her superpower was making people smile, and she always did. So that's why we wanted to highlight her. And especially in a service-based business that I'm in, people buy my services because they want to work with me. When it comes to marketing agencies, we don't know too much that's different. I do think I'm better at certain things, you know, strategy and planning. I will tell you the video marketing is one way that we do differentiate from other agencies. Other agencies we'll, kind of maybe create a video here or there, but we really try to make it part of an integrated program, and we push it fully with our clients and potential clients. But yeah, so that was Marcella. This is the one I was thinking of that we recently did. There it is. And again, when you're in a service-based business, being able to show the people and show your personality and your brand, humanizing it, is really important to people.
So many of our seniors that we work with and support have nobody else, and we are there to really be their family. I had a very close relationship with my grandmother, and she got sick in her later years, and I had the opportunity to go and take care of her, and it really connected me to this deep mission in myself around supporting seniors that don't have the family support, that don't have the financial support. And affordable housing, along with social services, really was a deep calling for me to be a part of. So that's when I really started to have this mission to fulfill the needs of these seniors that live on fixed incomes, that don't speak English as their primary language, just really need us to step in. So imagine trying to rent a house, have your prescription medications filled, and actually eat on $800 a month. It's absolutely impossible in this day and age, and that's why the affordable model of housing is so crucial. Without it, these would all be seniors living on the streets. We have over 10,000 seniors and families that we serve, which is amazing. And we build these very deep relationships with them, so there's trust and there's a personal connection, so we can really find out what they need and then keep them supported and living healthy lives instead of going into these boarding cares and nursing homes where we see the downturn very, very extreme. We want our seniors to stay healthy and living in their homes forever.
We practice what we preach. So actually, you know what? I'm not going to show you that one. I'm going to show you this one. I thought this was interesting. It was a little bit different. This is a project we did up in LA, and these guys are brokers, and they had us put a whole video together to actually just push out through their broker network. So I'm sorry, they were developers and they were just pushing out through their broker network. What I loved about it, we didn't just feature the building, we really tried to tell the story about the community of where this building, it's kind of up and coming community, and it has this very famous coffee shop where actors go to eat. And so I think that was the objective, was to highlight the building, but really to give that sense of community, because the person that was going to purchase this building, they're going to spend a lot of money, they're going to spend a lot of time.
Hi, my name is Seth Wellish with Cressa. I'm here to tell you about a new creative office project that's just been built on the border of Los Feliz and Hollywood, 1708 North Alexandria. And to really understand the neighborhood, we're starting here in Vermont Village, which is home to the restaurants and bars that'll be walking distance from the building. You have neighborhood mainstays like Little Dom's and Lassen's Natural Foods, and new favorites like All Day and Stamp Proper. So let's take a walk. Let me pick up my partner. Good morning, Andrew.
Gorgeous day.
Absolutely.
Got you a coffee.
Oh, thanks, man.
Yeah,
you ready to go over the building?
Let's do it.
The building was just finished, and I think it's looking great. Let's go take a look inside. So the building's designed to be fully secured. Nobody gets in here if the owner doesn't want it here.
There's a great area here for reception, and then there's the retractable glass door here with the patio, and then this would be a great space for a public conference room. And then we've got excellent parking here for an owner-user building, 13 striped spaces, which can achieve 17 to 18 tandem spaces.
So you have a pretty amazing base building condition. You have really high ceilings. You have a very square, regular, rectangular shape that's easy to plan. You have skylights, and you have floor-to-ceiling windows.
They're also fully operable on top and bottom, so you can open up the bottom windows for nice airflow, and then we've got a fully retractable glass door here that opens up the open door balcony.
So now we're at the building's best part, the roof. The building comes with an expansive rooftop deck that looks out over the whole city. How big is it?
So it's 1,172 square feet, and it's not included in the building's advertised square footage, and it's serviced by an elevator on each floor, so it comes right out to the deck, and it's perfect for hosting events.
You're looking at the Hollywood sign, you're looking at the Griffith Observatory. And actually right next to me, you have an expansive green roof, which was planted when the building was developed. So there's a great sort of green natural look. There's a lot that makes this building great, but we think this deck makes the building very special, and we'd love to show it to you in person.
If your client's like, where do we start? These are some, just good examples. We always start these, and then we get into, more complicated stuff later. But what do we have? Oh, all right. So I think, Robin, this is kind of where we were going to open it up and take questions and talk about.
Yeah.
What you guys want to talk about.
Perfect. So one of the things that sort of comes to mind for us, and maybe you could kind of share your perspective on, is when you're pitching videos like that to your clients, how do you start to broach that ROI discussion? If you are you really getting it down into strategy and saying, here's what our funnel looks like, and we expect to have, X number of conversions, and so if we widen the funnel by this much with the video, like, how does that conversation go to start to say, okay, that means you, client, you should invest, $2,000 in video for this campaign? Like, what does that conversation look like from your side?
Yeah, so it depends. So if they are doing like a lead gen campaign, or they've got some funnel campaign, really what we try to do actually is bring in whoever's doing the SEO or running. So our agency, we don't do lead gen, we don't do paid, but we have partners. So that's when we come in and we really approach it as a kind of an integrated approach to say, okay, we're running this lead gen campaign. We know we need this type of content. Actually, a great example, I didn't have the videos up, but we did a whole series of Google ads, and they had to be really quick. So like first 5 seconds. So they're selling a new weight loss app where it would kind of scan your body, and then as you lose weight, it would show you, your body shrinking down, basically. And so the target market obviously is women, working moms, and health enthusiasts. And so what we did is we did a series of ads that would run through the Google team who were placing the ads, but we came up with the concept of, it was interesting, just kind of how we went from the beginning to where we ended, but we created like 4 really short ads targeting different markets. And so for us, it wasn't having to necessarily pitch the ROI, but the ad team was pitching the ROI, of saying, hey, we need these videos because we know we're going to get more engagement. We're planning this much more conversion rate. So in that way, I think when you do, if you're a freelancer videographer, that's how you can partner with an agency or, another partner, is they can drive some of that ROI discussion for you, if that makes sense. If that's not something that you have experience in or that you're good at. So that would be my solution to that.
Okay. You touched on something there that I want to make sure we kind of pause and help folks understand who maybe haven't done a lot of social media video lately, just in terms of some of the format considerations, like the length of time. So you just said, first 5 seconds, got to be short and quick. Explain a little bit for the folks that maybe are not familiar why that's so important for some of these kinds of videos.
Yeah, well, for ads especially, because if it's in a feed, it's your people, you swipe. It's not even 5 seconds really, you just swipe and swipe. So it needs to get their attention immediately. So we needed to have pictures of attractive people doing quickly, really popping up, lose weight better. I don't exactly remember all the copy now. So that's the point, is just because people are going through a feed so quickly and they're searching and it's just so quick. And that for ad content, that's where that 5 seconds is really important. But when you're creating content for YouTube, for example, you really want to create content that's more than 10 minutes, 15 minutes, because YouTube's algorithms, the longer, so purpose of going to YouTube, first of all, is people want to learn. They're not there necessarily just socialize. Usually people are going to learn. So they're willing to stay on the platform longer. They're willing to watch videos longer. So if you can create content that engages them, it's like every minute just moves you up in the ranks in the search. And then if you hit that 10-minute, your videos then will do much better, as far as performance. So it's by platform. Facebook likes videos that are under 60 seconds. YouTube wants 10 minutes or more. Google Ads, you need 5 seconds. So it really depends on the platform.
No, that's great. So maybe the takeaway for folks on the call here is it's not just a 30-second TV commercial anymore. There's everything, it sounds like, ranging from a 5-second like YouTube like pre-roll like video through this very long form, 10+ minutes of like educational or more kind of conversational content like on YouTube and things like that these days. So there's a lot of room for folks who are providing our services to sort of find niches or find ways to kind of provide solutions to different clients.
Yeah, and I know videographers that specialize in just social media content, and they're really good at that and they don't do anything else. And I think that probably does help, if you specialize in a certain format or platform.
Sure.
I think the Cressa video with the property, that's a long promotional video, but they were sending it to their trusted brokers who they knew would open it and watch it. So normally I wouldn't say a promotional video should be that long, but they knew that people would watch it.
Yeah. And then we have a question today, and now's a great time to jump to it. For emerging platforms, if maybe folks on this call have not done much yet with, IGTV or Instagram stories or TikTok, how are you starting to see clients approach emerging social media, the brand new stuff that we're still all sort of figuring out?
Like that, basically. And so I'll admit, we are not even on TikTok. We just hired a new social media specialist who is going to put us on TikTok. And it's just, we do IGTV. I would not say we've been leveraging it the best. Stories is great. You really should be running things on stories if you're not. And TikTok loves video. So the one thing I'm seeing that's true through all the platforms is just being authentic and not salesy and just sharing information. And that will eventually drive people to go check out your website, go learn more about you. So the people that tend to do better, and I say people too, it could be brands, but it's a face. It's somebody actually on camera that does best on the social platform.
Yeah. And then are you also thinking or seeing, rather than sort of like create one type of video and then try to repurpose it as much as possible, so you end up, you've got your horizontal video and then you try to make it square and then you try to make it vertical. Are you seeing people kind of more shoot natively for the platform so it does come across as more sort of authentic?
Yeah, it does take more effort, but yeah, shooting natively, posting natively. There's some really great social media management tools that you can post, but for video, posting natively to the platform always does better, because Facebook doesn't want YouTube's link. They want the video on their platform for sure.
Cool. Excellent. All right, let's start to kind of transition to sort of these next questions that are up here in terms of starting to work with a business or a client. Could you walk us through maybe some recent examples or some sort of your approach if you are if you're hiring a freelancer, if you're hiring a vendor or contractor to help you out with a project, what does that look like from your side when you're starting to look for new partners or collaborators?
Yeah, no, it's a great question. Actually, we are looking for a couple of videographer partners, filming crew partners. We're interviewing this week, and I can tell you to start with what not to do. We were referred to a young gentleman, and he got on the call and he had no idea what we did. He hadn't researched us. He had just didn't even, I don't even know if he knew why he was on the call. But second of all, if you really want to impress an agency or really any partner, I think having a really good up-to-date portfolio, I'm fine to go look on Instagram or YouTube or whatever to watch, but we do find clients, especially if they're a little bit more mature, they still like a website. They just still want to go, where's your website? Where's your website? So if you don't have one, I recommend, even if it's just one page that has showcase like your best stuff, but have a good clean portfolio. And then I tell you what, I would be impressed if you came and said, hey, here's a case study of how we helped a client. And then also a clear process. I come in, I sit down with you, we talk about your objectives, what you want to get out of the video. For me, I'm not the video expert. I don't know filming techniques or audio. So when a videographer or a film crew comes in and they help educate me, I love that, because that's less that I have to think about and I can trust you to do.
That's great. And we have some questions that are sort of like along those same lines here in the chat, in terms of our job largely sometimes is to help kind of educate our clients, whether that's an agency or whether that's an individual, customer that's got a project for us. What are some of the approaches that you found that are really constructive there? So video professionals are putting their best foot forward in that conversation to help kind of teach and collaborate and kind of work on creative work.
Yeah, I have, we do it mostly kind of internally to check mark, make sure we asked all the right questions, but we have a Google form that we'll send out to our clients, and it starts with your name. You'd be amazed at how many times you get with a client and then they're not really the person that you're working with. So you have to go like, well, who is it that I'm working with, and all that stuff. So we, name, we as a marketing agency always say, what's your objective? I hear a lot of clients complain that they spend all this money creating a video and then they never did anything with it. And it's not the videographer's fault, but that videographer never gets a call back because the client didn't have a strategy and plan behind it. So we always say, what's your plan? What are you trying to achieve with this? Who's the talent? The Cressa video with the property. So those two gentlemen are agents themselves. The one gentleman who spoke most of the time, he's obviously very comfortable on camera, but we had a miscommunication with them. They didn't realize how long it was going to take to film. They thought they were going to be in and out in an hour. And then they had people come into the building to see the building while we were filming. So it was lessons learned, right? I kind of assumed the gentleman that we were working with who hired us showed up early in the morning and left, and apparently didn't tell the agent that you guys have to be here all day. So they got a little angry. They got a little testy at the end. We had to rush, some things at the end, so lessons learned. Everybody who's on camera, we have a prep meeting. We tell everybody what we're doing, not just the person we're working with or who hired us. Another example from that meeting, post-production. The gentleman who hired us thought that you could just erase things like a picture. You go to Photoshop. He didn't understand on video, it's a lot harder. So that building had been graffitied that week, and they had just fresh painted the coat, like they were just finishing it that morning. So it was still coming through a little bit. I personally couldn't see it, but the owner, because he knew it was there, that's all he could see. So we ended up out of our own pocket having to fix that. The editor had to figure out how to do that. And you still see a little bit of it, but again, lessons learned. I was relying on the videographer to give us some of that post-production. These are the outlines. I've never had a client ask for that before, but when it does happen, you have to pay for it to keep the client happy. So he figured it out. It didn't cost us too much, but now we have a full questionnaire. We clearly write out in our contracts the scope, everything from all the equipment that's going to be there. Clients think you're going to come with all this equipment, not necessarily. So they just have different ideas in their head. I think it's kind of silly. We filmed up in LA, and for some reason I had this assumption that everyone in LA knows about filming, but it's not true. So again, lessons learned. So now we've got all these questions built into our questionnaire to make sure we ask the client and make sure we understand what they know and what they're aware of, and that they have their expectations set on our end too.
Yeah. No, this sounds like great advice. It's something that comes up a lot in some of our conversations with each other in terms of just how do you establish a contract or an agreement or something so that you've got something so that you can sort of uncover these potential issues or real issues sort of in that sort of early negotiation process, or at least have a chance to plan for them. And then also make sure you're meeting expectations and everything goes smoothly. So I'm curious about your bullet here where you say who's responsible for what. So how do you find that conversation going with clients when you're pitching a job and starting to articulate who's this is exactly what I'm going to do. I need you to provide X, Y, and Z in order for me to do this. How do you like to kind of get into that conversation with people?
Well, you learn. For sure, that Cressa video, we had a lot of learning. The building was dirty, but you can see it's not a completed building. They don't finish it until the company purchases it. So they had buckets all over. The guys are still finishing things up. Now I know to write into the contract, it's the client's responsibility to provide the property, the space in the condition in which they want it filmed. So, it's kind of as simple as that. And we talk about some of those things. And honestly, as long as it's in the contract, that's really where you keep yourself safe, because things come up. And so those are just kind of now written right away into the contract as standard, things that they provide. If, let's say, it's more of an educational video or something where they are talking about a topic they know, we always let the client know you're responsible for providing that content. We'll help edit, we'll help guide you, but you are the expert, we're not the expert. In script writing, if that's something that you do, it will help a lot in post-production, getting the client on the same page, understanding what they're going to talk about, what's the B-roll looks like along, or music, whatever it is, graphs, whatever they want in there, because it helps them visualize it and then also commit to what they're going to do on camera. We found that's been an essential piece because a lot of clients, they get frozen on camera right away. They talk about it all the time, but whatever reason, the camera just scares them. So having them practice, having a script is really helpful.
Excellent. Curious here on the contracts and billing item, how to protect yourself. So you've said a couple things too, just in terms of just making sure what you're responsible for, your client knows what they're responsible for, that you're not having to pay out of your own pocket for fixes or corrections or things like that. Anything else that you have kind of come across or learned in starting to provide this work? Like, what are some of the key things that somebody maybe is just starting out and hasn't learned those hard lessons, or doesn't have a contract that's mature and has gone through lots of revisions? Like, what are some of the 2 or 3 main things somebody should watch out for?
I think definitely don't take on work if you're not ready for it. and it's hard. Part of it is just the learning curve, and that's what you have to do. But, if it's something that's really out of your wheelhouse, partner with somebody also. We love partnering with really amazing providers, whether it's on the editing side or the filming side, director, script writing. So if it's not in your wheelhouse, find a partner that you can learn from and that can help you close a deal, but then also execute on the job. And then, if you don't have a contract, you have to have one. I'll go into small claims in November, and my contract is what's going to save me. And I started out, I borrowed one from a friend who was in a similar business. You tweak it a little, you get into trouble, and then you eventually get to the attorney. And I have a good attorney. He doesn't charge too much, but it's so worth it, especially here in California. You really need a contract. Don't work without one.
Yeah, no, those are great tips. And then finally here, there's a question in the chat, and this kind of also goes to sort of the editing process a bit, but how do you manage kind of scope creep or changes kind of late in the project? How do you have that conversation? Like, look, client, you asked for, this type of project at the start, that's what we've been planning on. Now you're changing your mind. What, again, are you just going back to the contract, or are you trying to find creative solutions? How do you work through those?
So first it's in the contract. You get 2 revisions or 3 rewrites or whatever, you want to put in there. And then once you go out of that, here's the fees for additional hours of editing. Here's the fees for additional hours of writing and filming. So you just put it in there. And so it's in writing. So they know there's a fee. And then you kind of have to weigh it, is this a really big contract? Is it reoccurring? Is it small? Is it somebody you don't ever want to work with again? So you kind of weigh it. Obviously, if it's ongoing, we mitigate that through, the ongoing contract. But you have to address it right away. If you continue to do revisions and then try to go back, that's a big no. You can't go back once it's done. You have to address it at the point in which it's going out of scope, or you eat it.
Yeah, and sometimes that's the tough decision you have to make, right? If it's worth maintaining the relationship or future work or whatever it is, sometimes you just have to take your knocks. Unfortunately, if you can afford to. Yeah,
and here's the thing, clients know, and they're going to stretch it as much as they can. So usually when you bring it up, they're like, I kind of thought we were out of scope. Okay, what's it going to take, to finish it or make the change? So they know. They're not going to say anything. They're going to, push it as far as they can. So usually they're pretty accommodating when you tell them, hey, we're got out of scope. We're going to go out of scope. And this is what we need to finish.
Yeah, excellent. There's a couple questions here, and I had tossed this out to you when we were first chatting, so if you're not comfortable diving in, but if you're familiar with the AB5 employment law a little bit, maybe, and you don't need to go too much into it, it's definitely something that has hit our industry and it's been just a major factor for us, but I'm curious if you feel comfortable at all, just kind of speaking to your experience kind of working within our current confines of that at this point.
Yeah. No, it's interesting conversation, and I think it stinks, quite honestly. How do we function, small businesses? We need to be able to freelance and contract with each other. So I have contractors. Obviously, I contract the filming and directing all out, and it's a matter of opinion. I think I'm going to run under for REBL, the assumption that I'm small and I don't, no one's targeting me. It's targeting larger organizations. I do think one way you could protect yourself is going through platforms like Upwork and Fiverr. That kind of puts a barrier between, and I don't know how much that'll hold up, but since you're not actually contracting directly, you're contracting through those platforms. That might be one way to get around it. And, just work with really good people and treat them well. because where that regulation comes in, where I've seen other people get burned, it's not that the state or the government comes after you, it's that former contractor will come after you about something, and then that's when you get into trouble, and that's when you end up going back paying years of taxes and employment and all that, which can ruin your business. So just make sure you're working with good people. Have a contract with your contractors. We also have, contracts as well, and make sure it's clearly stated, and make sure you're looking at the rules. Like, you should be purchasing equipment for them. They shouldn't have set hours. So there's certain little rules in there too. Just make sure you're checking those off. Where I've seen people have gotten in trouble is that contractor got pissed off and then took them to court.
Good to know. So moving on to, I don't think we've kind of addressed it directly here, but sort of from the agency perspective. You've kind of mentioned some things that folks in our industry can do in terms of having a good portfolio, kind of doing their homework, presenting their services. What are some other ways that you would recommend folks try to, if they're trying to get a foot in the door, what should they do to get agency work?
We've gotten some good referrals, and so I think if you've got friends in the industry and they're working with agencies, there's always work out there. Could someone refer you? That's usually the best way. But yeah, have a really strong portfolio, do your homework, and just show your expertise. Like I said, we interviewed this one young man, and I'm sure he's really good. I saw his work after we met. He sent it over, but there was just that lack of professionalism, because when I hire you, you are representing my agency. So I need to feel like you get what I do and get my brand and can fit in easily with my clients.
Yeah, that's a really good point for folks that are sort of maybe a level or two removed from a client, but we're still sort of, the client is going to see, any contractor or freelancer as part of that agency, and so we don't, we shouldn't reflect poorly on the folks that are hiring us.
Yeah, absolutely.
No, that's great. Did you want to share? You had a couple more examples here, I think, in terms of like a script and an intake form, and then I want to kind of open it up to general Q&A. I know I've been talking a lot, and I've seen lots of people dropping into chat, but anybody else that wants to pipe up, I figured I would give them a chance before we wrap up.
Sure. Let me show just this one real quick. If you're not familiar with Google Forms, it's a really fun, easy tool, and you can usually get clients to fill it out because it's an online form. You send them the link, and here's just an example. I'm happy to share this as well. Like I said, we send this over. At least it gets the conversation going, and we're check marking the key questions. And most clients will fill this out and send it back to you, no problem. And then here's an example of a script. Full disclosure, it's a template that I got from Hubspot. And we like it because we'll write, here's the client, here's everything they're going to say. And then we put next to it, like, what's the slide going to say? Is there B-roll? What's going to be next to what they're saying on camera? So we just have a very clear, this helps us and the client, but also helps on the, editing side on the back end to make sure that we're not driving our editor crazy.
As someone who edits a lot, thank you very much. All those details are absolutely helpful in the editing process, for sure. If we could, if you would put your contact info back up real quick, Reb, or we'll drop that in later. Just for anybody that wants to grab it, I did see some folks kind of, I think their ears perked up a bit when you mentioned that you are looking for potential new folks to collaborate with. All right, excellent. And then I will invite anybody that does have a question that we haven't gotten to yet, or just wants to say hi. You can go ahead and unmute yourself, and we've got Reb's time, for another 10 or so minutes here. So ask away.
Hey, Reb, I really appreciate your time. Thank you for all your insight. It's funny because we are at that intersection of just the creativity and analytics and marketing and all this craziness of, I don't know, you know, I went to film school and we never talked about marketing, and now every project that I undertake with my video company, marketing is at the core of everything that we do. So again, appreciate your time and your insight. I was really curious about when maybe if you hire people or what you've seen as far as a campaign versus a one-off video. You know, obviously, I think a lot of us consider ourselves artistes, if you will, and we'd love to make a really huge, awesome, big commercial, but we are at a point where we understand the value of a long-term campaign where maybe that does consist of, you know, 3, 4, 5 pieces of content, some of them vertical. I'm so sorry to mention that in this group, but you know, that is the case that we're in right now. So I was just really curious on your insights of the campaign angle versus the one-off hire, and you know, that kind of relationship, what those look like.
Yeah, no, that's a great question. Yeah, everybody loves to be doing the big commercials and on site, and you know, all the talent. I haven't done those in years, but what we're finding, some of our more consistent retainer base is doing content for social, for sure, and then educational, where the client's talking about topics and subjects that they're really, you know, experts on. And then the third is interview series for, and what our clients are using it for, and we do ourselves, is for business development. So they're inviting potential clients or people that they want to work with, and they interview them. And it's really clever because it makes that potential client or whoever feel really special, and it's not a hard sell. And then you're getting this really great piece of content that you can share, and hopefully that client shares it too. So that's the 3 that we've seen where we get the consistent, ongoing retainer.
Do you ever have issues like convincing the client to go for like that big idea? Like, I'm sure we've all seen like the Dollar Shave Club video, which kind of has become like a standard and a little repetitive now, I guess. But you know, that was a really good move back then. Is it hard to convince a client to go for whatever the next kind of big idea is outside the box?
You know, yes and no. I do think that businesses are more open. You know, I mostly work in the B2B space, so it's a little bit harder. You know, some of our biggest clients are in finance and accounting, maybe not super sexy, but with the information they need to share is so important. And so, kind of going back to the idea, none of them like to write, but I can usually get 1 or 2 executives on camera. And then we, you know, double purpose that by transcribing the video and creating the written content.
Sure.
Yeah, you know, the big fun campaigns, it's funny, I am talking to a potential client that would like to do a series of kind of, he does like a children's app. And so we're trying to figure out like how we could do something viral to really bring his app up. So I do think clients are more open to it. It's just going back to the statistics and just kind of showing them how this can work for them, you know.
Gotcha.
Thanks, Rob.
Greg, go ahead. I see your hand up.
I just have a simple mechanical question. In the home services video, did I see a lot of Pond 5 video in there?
What?
Stock video.
Stock video,
yeah.
outside video. Yeah.
Yeah. We try to do as much B-roll. That client, you could see some of it where they're handing out the food and they showed the room, like that was their actual footage. But they do a lot of low-income housing, so it was difficult to capture. So we do a mix, and it's also more, you know, budget-friendly, obviously. But yeah, so we try to do a mix. If we can do original B-roll, absolutely. Just sometimes the budget or the circumstances doesn't allow it.
It's a beautiful piece. Yeah.
Thank you. They're a great organization.
Yeah. All right, let's go to Jordan next.
Hi, Rebel. Thanks for the presentation. I wonder what your next subject is going to be for your next project that you're looking for people for.
Next project I'm working on?
Yeah.
It's an interview series, actually, for an insurance and risk management company. We're calling it Risky Business with CMR. And that is actually who we're interviewing a videographer for right now. Who can go in and film once a month with them. Yeah, that's our next project.
Like the title. Like the title. Good title.
Thank you. Thank you. I came up with that myself. I am in marketing.
Interesting.
Thanks, Jordan. Let's hop over to Mark next.
Rebel, you had mentioned in your presentation about ROI, which is really one of the hardest things I have found to define, to measure when it comes to delivering a video. How do you define that it's successful? How do you do that for your clients? Do you spell that out before you shoot? And how do you measure ROI on a video's impact versus, say, just clicks? Yes, it raised my click through. Was that success, or how do you do that?
Yeah, you know, it's not easy. So you're right. So for example, we always post all of our client videos on YouTube, which we get great analytics from, you know, and it depends on the client, you know, how heavily driven. We don't do a ton of lead gen campaigns, honestly. So it's more about branding and communications and them staying in front of their customers. I can tell you our one client, when we first started doing the videos, they closed like 2 deals within the first month. And what it wasn't the video itself that closed the deals. He had been working them for a while. It was just for whatever reason, when those videos came out, it was enough to trigger that client to call them, go, hey, I saw your video, let's talk, let's close. So it's really an integrated process. Obviously, we look at social stats. We do put a lot of video into emails, so we look at the click-through rates. If it is running in a campaign, that's where we bring in our partner. You know, if it's Google ads or, you know, paid Facebook ads, then we let the partner manage that ROI because they're really the one that has to deliver, but we help them create the content, make sure the messaging and the branding's on point with the video.
Great, thank you.
All right, Rob, looks like you got your hand up.
Hey, I'm back. Rob, I was really curious about, you know, a lot of us are really into production value and creating a good image and a good scene and all that. And obviously we all care about lighting and all that. So I was kind of just curious of how we can maybe explain that to a client of maybe we don't shoot in your office boardroom with the TV on the wall because there's going to be a reflection there. And things like that versus like even like your example video was a really nice talking head with B-roll. And I think there was only one shot of you interacting with like a client where they probably could have staged maybe a little bit more there of what you do in the day of the life of your work. So I was just curious of the conversation that happens with that value of production value.
Yeah, you know, definitely showing them examples of good and bad. You know, I think if they can see the difference, and sometimes you kind of have to do some of the bad ones and then get them to realize that, hey, this is not the right way to do it. And what we're finding, and this really is the stage of where you at and who you want to work with, those clients sometimes just, they're never gonna, you know, put the budget in or the time. So you can't ever really do anything good with them. So you have to decide, is it a client that you really want to work with?
Is there a conversation that you ever have about the importance of an investment, the way they invest in the property that you're in to make sure you're in a cool office, the same way you invest in a server to make sure all your files are stored nice and safe? This is an investment that is $5K and up.
Yeah. And that's why we say, when we call it foundational, we're like, these are the videos that are going to live, you know, for a while, and they're your foundational. You have to do these. Totally. And they have to be high production. Yeah. And a lot of it too is we use that you're a professional. Would you watch another professional, you know, on a video like this or like this? And then that's when we show them examples. The best examples are their competitors. So if they have a competitor that's doing video well, that's what you show them, and they want to beat their competitor. So they most likely then will buy into, all right, I need to do that level of production.
Gotcha. Thank you so much. That was interesting.
All right, I think we have time for one final question. I see, Kevin, you've had your hand up for a minute, so let's go to you.
Hi, Rebel. Thanks for the presentation tonight. It's been really informative. I appreciate your time. At the very beginning, you were talking about not writing scripts anymore, and I was trying to listen to that as my dog was attacking me, trying to get fed for the evening. So I missed a little bit of that. You were talking about having them talk and then taking out keywords or something like that. Could you explain that a little bit more? I missed part of that.
Yeah. So it wasn't not writing scripts. We don't write blog articles anymore. So we used to do research and interview the client, and then we write these long blog articles that no one reads. So a couple of years ago is when, well, 3 years ago now, we decided we're going to go to video content. We don't want to write anymore. And then what we do to give them still the bump of content on their website, written content in SEO, is we'll transcribe their video, and then we know what their keywords are, and then we'll kind of rewrite that transcription, the headers for the key terms. We'll take out the ums and likes and all the weird stuff that reads funny and clean it up and make sure their keywords are in there, and then they can post that on their blog now.
Oh, okay, I understand. So do you have most of your clients write their own scripts though for videos? Or do you help them with it?
I wish. No, we write script outlines, and we never try to write it verbatim, but we'll do the research, we'll interview them, you know, because we're doing a lot of the other things in marketing for them. We know them pretty well. So we'll write their scripts. We usually go, okay, what are the 3 points we need to get across? What's the topic you want to talk about? You know, what's hot right now? And then we'll go out and do some research and we'll write it for them. Yeah, we just learned we never let a client just come in and talk. It's a nightmare on the editing side and the filming side. You're just standing there and they're rambling. So, and another, you know, a new thing that we learned to start doing is we prep before the film day and we do table reads with them. Oh. Even if it's a small script, we still do a table read. So we just make sure everybody's on the same page, they're practicing and they're ready to go.
Great. No, thanks so much. Appreciate it.
Yeah.
Teleprompters?
I say no. They're just distracting, unless it's a professional. We find non-professionals, they just start reading it, they look like deer in headlights. We try to avoid it at all costs.
All right, I think we'll leave it there. Thank you so much, Reb, for sharing your time with us and your expertise and helping us kind of see the other side of sort of a lot of the work that we do here and how we can kind of make sure we're meeting people's needs. So thank you for sharing that with us. We will have your slides on our website later on for folks to review. And your contact info is in the chat here, and also it'll be there for anybody that does want to follow up with you. Hopefully this becomes an ongoing conversation. We would love to do more with the American Marketing Association and the different ad groups in town, because I think there's a lot of kind of great collaboration that can happen between our groups and yours. So hopefully this is the start of more to come. But thank you so much. With that, thank you all for your time this evening. It was a great time chatting with you all and talking about all these marketing topics. Until next time, thanks for joining SD Media Pros, and we'll see you later.